Well, good morning, folks. Welcome. We're going to be talking today about automating infrastructure and operations management, talking about a product that VMware acquired last year, and significant work has been done on since then, called VMware vCenter Operations. My name is Steve Henning. I'm in product marketing with VMware, and this is Jay Malkani. He's in product management. He'll be joining me for the second half of the presentation, go a lot more detail into the product. All right. So standard disclaimer there for you. There will be some forward-looking things that we're going to be talking about during the presentation today. So just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. So agenda, we're going to be talking about operations management in the cloud. A couple of things that I want to cover. Why do disciplines have to converge in the cloud? What are some of the common challenges in managing dynamic virtual infrastructure and cloud infrastructure? What are our approaches and key differentiators? And then a small introduction to vCenter operations. Then we're going to get in more depth about the product, and Jay will be taking over at that point. So let's talk a little bit about operations management in the cloud and some of the challenges. There's really two things that I think are critical here. One is this new delivery model, right, where you've got shared infrastructure across multiple lines of business, ongoing workload deployments. So VMs are being added very quickly, daily, weekly, monthly. And the demand is more tied to business activity than to IT's ability to be able to deliver services. Workloads are decoupled from physical resources. You're talking about deployment now on logical entities, dynamically scheduling between physical resources within a cluster. And then the second part of this is the greater demands that are being brought in terms of applications. So end users want more applications and services. They've seen how easy it is to be able to deploy an application in the cloud using Amazon EC2, for example, and they want that same kind of self-service from their own IT. They're also expecting higher quality of service as well. So applications are expected to be available with little downtime and with as little performance problems as possible. You basically have more VMs, more interdependencies, and a really high speed of change to deal with. So we're looking to help people to be able to automate this journey to the cloud. And if you think about where automated operations management fits in, it really fits in around business production. So as you're starting to go from 30% virtualization to try and get 70% and beyond to be able to deliver IT as a service, where you should start thinking about how automating some of the manual processes around operations management would be in this business production area where you're starting to bring some mission-critical applications to the virtual environment. So let's talk a little bit about operations management challenges. So, really it's broken down a little bit for us between the infrastructure team, which is where most of the virtual center administrators are, and then the operations teams that are responsible for keeping the applications running in production. So, a lot of times what we'll hear in talking to customers, when you talk about performance-related issue, the first thing that I always hear from virtual center administrators is this whole issue around, soon as a mission-critical application gets virtualized, who's the first person to get blamed when the problems start to arise, right? Always the virtual center administrators. But 90% of the time, the problem isn't really there, and there's a lot of time that's spent adding excess capacity, all kinds of things that are not really necessary due to an application problem that has really nothing to do with the virtual infrastructure. So how can we give the infrastructure team the ability to say, hey, look, it's not me, and how can we show that easily? The other thing, these kind of bridge calls that people get called on, you get somebody from each silo of technology that's delivering a mission-critical application, talking about different aspects of it, trying to figure out what the problem is in real time. Very unproductive, a lot of finger-pointing going on with those. How can you eliminate those kind of bridge calls? And then when you look at the operations team, we hear this one all the time, is that, we've spent an unbelievable amount of money buying and implementing monitoring solutions. Yet when performance problems start to happen with our applications, the first person that we find out about from is not from our monitoring solutions that we spent all this money on. We find out from our end users. And it makes them look bad because it's in a position where they're reactive to every kind of problem that happens. And then when they have to fix those problems, the bridge calls take a long time. Everybody's looking at different siloed monitoring solutions. There's no integration of the data across all of the different silos that are delivering an application, correlating that data together to understand performance in a way that makes sense. In terms of capacity, over-provisioning to cover yourself with an application. But, in order to get the most out of an infrastructure, you've got to be able to use as little as possible of the resources that actually support the application effectively. Then you think from the operations team running their own servers. Now they don't even know if they're getting the right service from the infrastructure for the applications. They're not sure if they can even get the resources. How can they get that information? Changing configuration. Visibility into the servers and VMs. What levels of patches are available on them? And then on the operations team, configuration changes are really the number one reason for downtime and also for performance issues with applications. So how can we get an understanding in real time when we start to see performance degrade? What are the changes that have been made so that we can get the root cause much quicker? So this is some of the management challenges that we're seeing. And really the infrastructure and operations management solutions that VMware is bringing to market are meant to solve this. So one of the things I also wanted to talk about today was the issues that are driving convergence of management disciplines. So if you think about the main management disciplines that we're dealing with in terms of operation, performance, capacity, and configuration, there's an incredible amount of interdependence between these disciplines when you're working in a highly dynamic virtual and cloud environment. Any change that you make to a configuration can have an extreme effect on performance and capacity. And so it's really important in real time to be able to see performance, capacity, and configuration and manage them in an interdependent way. It's absolutely critical. So there's this huge amount of interdependency between these disciplines that has to be covered. And you'll see that as we start to bring these solutions together and integrate them more and more deeply, you're going to get a lot more value out of your infrastructure and also a lot more performance out of your applications. And Jay will be talking a little bit further about that, about how we're bringing these disciplines together. So, when you start to talk with customers about management challenges, this is a survey that ESG kind of put together. And you can see here some of the things that are really high up on people's minds. Difficulty in isolating root cause, capacity in monitoring in virtual environments, increased need for collaboration between different infrastructure groups, identifying performance issues across a virtual data center. These are the top things that people were identifying, you folks were identifying, as the issues that you need to resolve in terms of your virtual environment and being able to manage them operationally. And these are exactly the type of things that we're looking to solve with VCOps product. So what gets in the way of solving these problems? So, we've talked a little bit about this. But performance problems often occur without any real warning, even though we've spent tons and tons of monitoring on the money on the existing solutions that we have. End users first to notice problems. Root cause determination is difficult, time-consuming because of the bridge calls that are required and the fact that there's no correlation of data across the silos that deliver your applications. And then real-time understanding of performance is lacking. And what I mean by this is that there's no way to reliably understand the health of the IT infrastructure that's supporting mission-critical applications. You get alerts from your monitoring solutions telling you CPU is spiked above a certain level, things like that. But what about the overall health? Because just because something spikes above a certain level doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a performance problem. And because of the fact that this real-time understanding of performance is not available, and the fact that each one of the different people that are delivering the applications have their own siloed monitoring, there's no correlation across those things. And so it's very difficult for people to have a conversation about performance-related issues. You got a network guy talking about throughput. You got database guys talking about deadlocks. You got infrastructure guys talking about CPU. And there's not a lot of collaboration that's effective because they don't have a common language for talking about performance problems. And that's another thing that we're looking to address with these solutions. And then finally, in terms of optimizing the IT infrastructure to be able to deliver your applications more effectively, people don't understand. There's no way with existing tools to understand the abnormal behaviors that lead to degradation of key transaction response times, things like that. And so there's a heavy reliance on tribal knowledge of a few application experts within the organization to kind of be the guys who kind of rescue people from these performance-related issues. And these kind of folks who have spent years and years with the applications, who understand them, they're very high-value people, and they leave companies all the time. And when that happens, that knowledge walks out the door with you, and that's with them. And that's another thing that we're looking to solve here, is to be able to help to build kind of an understanding of performance that doesn't leave your company when somebody leaves the organization. So what is VMware's approach to automating operations management? Well, first of all, I like to talk about the analytics that we're providing. So our ability to be able to understand the performance of the IT infrastructure supporting your applications is built around this idea of analysis and analytics. And the reason why I talk about it as being patented analytics is there's really a lot of IP that goes behind this. There are 13 algorithms that we have developed to be able to understand the normal and abnormal performances that lead to performance degradations in the infrastructure supporting your applications. And so I mentioned patented only to let you know that there's real IP behind this. The other thing is, no matter how good your analytics are, if you visualize that make it very clear what's going on to any constituent within the organization, from a CIO all the way down to an individual database administrator or a virtual center administrator, to be able to understand the performance of their aspect of the infrastructure, the analytics are worthwhile. So we've spent a ton of time implementing these powerful visualizations, and we'll show you a lot more about that later in the presentation, but I think it's a very important point to make. And then there's this progressive integration. Now, we talked about the need to be able to integrate performance, capacity, and configuration management, but it's more than that as well. We recognize that there's more in your virtual infrastructure and your infrastructure than just the virtual environment, which is being monitored at vCenter. We also know that you've got other tools that you want to be able to integrate that are supporting your applications to bring that data in to get a full picture of the health of your environment. And so we've got that kind of level of integration built into our products as well. So, we're really talking about a new model for operations here. And so it's using these analytics to kind of transform how IT manages in these dynamic environments. So some of the features that are important to mention, this tight integration with vSphere. And I mentioned this, it's not just the fact that we can get data from vSphere. Anybody can get data from vSphere. The important thing is that when I actually came from Integrion, which is where this technology was originally built, and we were basically all about the probabilistic analysis of data. Now, since we brought the product into VMware, it's been amazing to me to be able to see from people who have experience in huge, massive virtual environments what they've been able to do to be able to enhance the product. So we've been able to extend the behavioral analytics with very deterministic capabilities that are based on our knowledge of the virtual environment. So it's a lot more than just integration of data. It's actual integration of this knowledge, which allows us to make a more effective product. This other thing that we've done is this ability to aggregate the performance of thousands of metrics to higher level measures of performance, workload, capacity, and performance health, which we can display to you in hierarchical views of your entire virtual infrastructure so that you can immediately see where the problems are in the environment and drill down when you need to find out what those problems are at a deeper level. And also the ability for us to be able to generate a smarter alerting that's based on our understanding of the behavior of the system so that we're alerting you in a much more effective manner, much more usable alerts because they're based on abnormalities that we're seeing across the infrastructure. And then also, once I've mentioned before, is this ability to integrate third-party monitoring solutions. So there's really three key components to this, the vCenter operations solutions. We talked about the performance analytics a little bit. There's also this purpose-built capacity planning and analysis that's specific for virtual environments, the ability to do what-if analysis, and then this automated configuration and compliance, patching, provisioning, complete change tracking, and the ability to overlay any changes that have been made against the performance degradations that we see so that you can get to root cause quicker and then a single click rollback to remediate any issues that have affected performance. So that's really the main constituent of our product. And so, in terms of the addition overviews here, the main additions that we support out of the box is vCenter Operations Advanced. That's for larger virtual-only environments. Includes the capability to do detailed what-if capacity planning and the performance analytics. We've got the vCenter Operations Enterprise solution that lets you extend this capability that Advanced has to your physical environment and also to include data from the other silos of technology, application, from databases, from storage. So that's the Enterprise Edition. And then we also have Standard Edition for smaller vSphere deployments where people just want to get visibility into the performance of their environment. So those are the additions that we've got. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jay right now, and he's going to take you into a lot more detail here and also tell you about the future of the product as well. So Jay?
Thank you, Steve. So now that you all have a background in cloud operations management and what it takes, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the product so we can actually see how vCenter Operations is delivering on those capabilities. I'm going to have the clicker. Thank you. So before I go on, though, I have to put this forward-looking statement here because I am going to be talking about product vision, and I'm going to be showing you certain capabilities which are there in the product today, and certain capabilities which are still under development, things that we are really building into the product to be released in the future. So just a forward-looking statement. When we look at what a cloud administrator's day looks like, and we talk to our customers, what are like some of the top things that cloud administrators worry about? One is about reactive problem solving. So, there's a problem and I need to resolve it. The other is around proactive maintenance. So, these are things I can do to avoid those problems from happening in the first place. So let's talk about the reactive problem solving first. Typically starts with an alert if you have the right system in place. If you don't have the right system in place, typically starts from a call from the app owner or business owner. Hey, I have an issue. Perhaps a performance problem with my application. Can you help me resolve it? And the process here is typically to first have, in some way, shape, or form, detect what the problem is. Perhaps it's related to a slow-performing VM. Then you get a little deeper and isolate the problem, right? Really get to the crux of the issue, which is, hey, maybe this is a configuration issue of a patch that was applied inside the guest, right? And then you start to remediate the problem. That is, maybe roll back the patch or whatever caused the problem to happen in the first place. And then if you look on the left-hand side here is really around the proactive maintenance. So these are activities around better planning your environment, maybe having some sort of capabilities around utilization, forecasting. How much is the environment consuming? How much do I need? How can I be more proactive about optimizing my environment, maybe running it more efficiently, reclaiming capacity, adding capacity, and then automating this whole process. And that's where vCenter Operations really comes in to provide automated operations for the cloud. Here's a dashboard from the product. And if you really look at this dashboard, it provides end-to-end visibility around health, risk, and efficiency. On the top left, you can see your entire environment at scale and view the red, green, yellow status or the health status of all the objects in your environment. There are scores next to it. These are the scores from the patented analytics that Steve was talking about, in which we calculate a health score to tell you what is really a good picture of the health in your environment. Is it good? Is it bad? What do you need to do? There's also a time element here, right? So not only do you know what the health is, you can also see where and when did the problems occur. So this is like a business week workload, so you can see when exactly the problems are occurring, what are the trends, and also see the trends in change in any abnormal behavior. So are there any problems that have been building up? How can I sort of correlate all this information together? Risk is, while health was more current status, risk is really future status, right? So you can view risks which are there today. So for instance, when will I run out of capacity? Are there any capacity-related risks? How much time remaining do I have before I run out of capacity? Not only time remaining, but which resource is actually running out? And how much gas do I have in the tank? How much can I run more? And what do I need to add? Is it CPU, memory, disk I/O, network I/O? What really is the bottleneck? What do I need to do? And finally, the efficiency, which is the final column here, which I can draw your attention to, is you can start to look at how to optimize the environment. See, is your utilization really optimal? Is there waste in your environment? Can you reclaim the waste? Can I be really more proactive about addressing the risk and efficiency so that my health of the environment is good? And that's where the whole end-to-end visibility comes in. And now let's go back to the things that I was talking about. Now with this information, can you actually do the reactive problem solving? So here is the operations tab under vCenter operations. And this is where we show you the exact status to be able to detect problems at every level of the infrastructure, right from your VCs to your data center to clusters to ESX hosts to VMs. You can see if this problem is actually at the VM layer only. Is it really affecting my entire cluster? What is really the problem? Is it workload? And there are all these scores to help you determine that and detect the problem, really using those analytics to identify the building issues, right? Once you've detected that there is a problem and you're at the screen, you can click on any of the red, green, or yellow, most probably red or yellow issues that are there, right? And go a little deeper to start to isolate the problem. Here we bring you some key KPIs or metrics which help you in a single glance or through a single click really identify what the issues are. What are the bounds for some of these resources and what resource is really causing the issue? In this case, you can see it's a workload problem. And really, what is really causing the stress here is network I/O. And we're doing all this behind the scenes to really bubble up this issue and bring it in the forefront so you can isolate the problem, drill down into the problem source, and also look at trends of these key metrics. Is this a problem that has been trending over a long time? Are there some NIC cards perhaps that are faulty? What's really going on here, right? Once you've isolated the problem, we want to give tools to you so you can actually remediate the problem as well. There are a lot of tools built into the product to help you intelligently resolve these issues. This is an example of one of these tools, which is a Heatmap, which says, hey, this was a workload problem. Looks like this ESX host is really overloaded. And can I really move VMs to another host? Let's say this is a decision which is on your mind or the question that you want to get answered. And then you can say, okay, where do I move this VM to? What can I do? How about this host? How about this one? In the same cluster. So you can get a map, and not only by just workload. You can get this map through by every aspect of your health, be it memory, be it I/O, be it CPU. You can break this, your map of your entire data center using these tools, and in order to make intelligent decisions on how to resolve these problems. But vCenter operations doesn't really stop there, right? If it was that easy to just look only at the infrastructure layer, then we would be kidding ourselves, because the problem could really be inside the guest. And that's where the whole convergence comes in, what Steve was talking about, because we are trying to give you visibility into what's going on inside the guest, inside the OS, at the app layer. What are some of the configuration changes that are happening in the environment? Taking those configuration changes and really overlaying them with the performance graphs to tell you, hey, this was a configuration change that was made, and and see the performance of the VM. Maybe right after that configuration change was made, the performance dipped. So that may be really the cause. So can you actually roll back that change? And that's the level of automation which we're really hoping to bring into the product, so you can not only look at configuration changes, correlate them with performance problems, and also take action on those changes, be it a rollback or maybe applying another change. There's smart alerts that are built in. So alerts, they're smart because not only are they built on dynamic thresholds, so it's not just a simple alert of a metric firing. This is actually observing the trend of that particular KPI and seeing when is the abnormal behavior and bringing that alert to you. So you can be proactive about building issues, not only issues when they occur. This is before the issues occur. And they have a root cause element attached to it, so you can quickly get to the details. What exactly was the issue? Was this a config issue? Was this a memory issue? Was this an I/O issue, etc.? And then, through that ESG survey that Steve was showing, you saw that one of the main problems is collaboration with the app team, right? Ability for the infrastructure team to really say, hey, these are the applications that are impacted by a particular issue. And that's the level of integration, again, that this tool is bringing in. So you can actually see with every alert, with every issue, what are the applications which are hosted on those VMs or the processes that are there. So you can see what the application impact might be. Is there high availability? Does this issue really impact HA? If it is, then that may be a higher severity alert for you, and you want to resolve those problems. So really being proactive about these early warnings on issues and impacts is the direction of where we are going. Now let's shift our focus a little bit to the other set of tasks that we were talking about, which is being more proactive around planning, more proactive maintenance. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the capacity IQ product, which VMware has, now that is integrated into vCenter operations, right? So all the capacity management capabilities are here as well, and you can see the trends of capacity remaining for your of how many VMs you can add and how many resources you can add. How is their consumption trending over time? Not only at the VM level, but actually at every resource level, be it CPU, memory, disk, I/O, network I/O, storage, etc. And there's also what-if analysis tools, right? So you can not only just see how the trends are, but you can model into the future. You can see if I need to meet this demand for a particular cloud burst or a cloud operation, how much more supply do I need to add and by when? And the ability to such tools are really powerful in helping you avoid performance problems from occurring. There's also out-of-the-box reports, right? So you can now start to look at optimizing your capacity, right? And so every time there's a lot of the things we hear is, hey, there's a new application coming online. I need more VMs. I need more infrastructure. Really? I mean, do we really need to? Can we be more efficient in adding this capacity? For instance, this is a report on idle VMs in the environment. But how can you sort of communicate with your end user that whether that capacity is needed or not, unless you have that sort of information in a crisp report which says, hey, these are the VMs which were requested by our business unit, and by the way, so many are idle. Can we reuse this capacity instead? Right? Why do I? How can I improve the ROI of my environment? But then again, let's say you have thousands of VMs in your environment. Are you really going to call each and every owner of every VM and ask, hey, can I actually delete this VM because it looks like you're not using it? And are you going to really make those thousands of calls? Probably not, right? And that's and therefore to automate this process is what we need is the built-in orchestration capabilities, right? Which allow you to kick off that workflow with your end user, with your business unit, allow you to collaborate better in order to say, hey, let me send off this report for the VMs you own. Why don't you look at them, give me approval on whether whether I can delete those VMs or whether or business justification if you want to keep those VMs. So you really have this closed loop operations around planning, optimizing, and automating your proactive maintenance, and at the same time also being able to handle those alerts by detecting, isolating, and remediating your problem. So that's in a nutshell some of the capabilities that vCenter Operations is bringing to the market. Some of the key capabilities here, or key takeaways that I wanted to stress on is, as Steve mentioned, with things changing in a dynamic cloud environment, there's a fundamentally different approach required for operations management to deliver these high levels of efficiency. What is that approach? Is that performance, capacity, configuration, all the visibility to all these three must come in a single tool. There should be good ability to collaborate between infrastructure and operation teams to resolve issues, and there should be automation built in into all these capabilities for a highly effective cloud operator to perform. And that's VMware's approach. We are bringing performance, capacity, and configuration together in vCenter Operations, and using patented analytics on top to give you visibility into the health, risk, and efficiency of your environment to enable cloud administrators to manage their dynamic environments. This isn't the only session where you can learn about vCenter Operations. This was really meant to whet your appetite about some of the key concepts and some of the key capabilities here. There are based on your level of interest, there are many other sessions we have planned throughout this event. There's an introduction to vCenter Operations, which is tomorrow morning and also on Wednesday morning, where you can learn some of the key concepts. There's a technical deep dive for those of you gurus who really want to get to the crux of how this product is developed and what are really the algorithms that we're bringing to life. And that's tomorrow at 4 p.m. and then again on Wednesday at 2 p.m. There's some best practices around capacity management. For those of you who are in the capacity team, there's a session on Tuesday afternoon. Performance management in heterogeneous environment for those who are using who have additional monitoring tools and are interested in how that integrates with vCenter Ops. And there's a few other real-world sort of sessions where we'll bring in customer stories. It says vCenter Operations in the real world today in the afternoon. And also, for those of you who are managing desktops or virtual desktops or View, there's VCOps capabilities built into View now, which we're bringing to market. And there's a session, again, on that tomorrow afternoon. So a lot of good sessions planned. And if you're also talking to your friends, there's a repeat session of this one tomorrow in the evening at 6. So you can start today. You can download the trial. There's a free 60-day trial on the vCenter Operations website. You can go to vmware.com/go/vcops and download a free 60-day trial. There's an eval guide as well. You can join the community. There's good discussions going on constantly about what capabilities are there, how to use them. And finally, you can learn more about VCOps through various links on this page. So that's what I had. I'm happy to take any questions. Steve, if you would like to join me on stage as well.